You're listening to SM Media.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of The Ref's View. I'm Scotty Pike. It is always a pleasure to welcome you to this episode, and we've got a lot to talk about in this episode. We've got a Rangers-Celtic game, which obviously grabs headlines. We've got another derby we can talk about, and incidents in most games over the weekend, a dramatic Thursday in the Scottish Premiership. First of all, it's a pleasure to welcome Des Roach.
Hi guys, how are we?
Very well, excited for this, and it's a pleasure to welcome Steve Conroy.
Hello, same, looking forward to it.
Let's start at Ibrox. Rangers 3, Celtic 0. I didn't think that result was going to be said, but there we go. I thought Rangers were very, very disciplined and aggressive and got a good result. Celtic, I think, bit of a stumbling block. We'll get into that. But overall, the kind of what we're here to talk about is how did the referee perform? I think, Des, before we get into certain decisions, I think the fact we're not talking about him constantly suggests that he done pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's anything terribly contentious. We know what these games have been like. Traditionally, over the years, there's been lots of headlines and lots of insinuations and things like that. So, no, I think what was really good to see yesterday, Don at no point looked flustered. Don at no point did he look, it wasn't in control. He didn't allow himself to become overawed or reactive to it. No, I thought he did a really good game. And as did the other officials, as say, that's the best result for them, is they can all walk away and they can go back home and enjoy their Thursday evening.
Yeah, Steve. Well, obviously, we'll touch on a few flashpoints in the game that we can. I think we'll maybe have slightly different opinions on, the three of us. But I think overall, I think he did handle it pretty well.
Yeah, and as we said last week, between Don and Nick Walsh being on it, and you did see the way that VAR was operated very succinctly during the game. Those two just proving why they're the two best referees that we currently have operating here.
Steve, agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Des, or was it you, kind of tongue-in-cheek asked what I was hoping for at the weekend. I got 50% of it. I think probably shading it, I think Don was probably the best. The referee team was about the best that we had. And he's shown that he is our best ref. Other people have had go at the big games in inverted commas of late, but I think Don just showed that he's the man for it. Well done to him and his team.
Yeah, there was a few incidents obviously that we'll cover here. There was 4 bookings shown in the game. I think, like, obviously the first one showing Callum McGregor, that maybe kind of plays my opinion on a certain thing later on, but McGregor's booking, both happy with that?
Yeah, he's shown his experience there. He's deliberately dealing the restart of play, and he's holding Rangers up from a promising attack. So no, absolutely no qualms for it.
Yeah, took one for the team.
I think there's a couple that I want to get your thoughts on. The first one was, obviously, I had sent it into our WhatsApp group maybe 5-10 minutes after it happened. There was an incident in the Rangers penalty area where Robin Propper and Carter Vickers were, it was sort of a tangle, but from what I've kind of seen, it looked more like Carter Vickers, to me, from what the angle I've seen, Carter Vickers had more of a grab than Propper did, and it was given as a Celtic foul. I don't think that's a Celtic foul. Shoot me
It's
down.
nothing.
I don't think it's a foul.
I'm not screaming for a penalty. I don't think it's a foul, though.
I don't think it's a foul. It's six and 2-3s. And the angle that you've seen, Carter Vickers had more of a hold of him, but you know fine that other people have a different angle and showing that Propper had a bigger hold of Carter Vickers. I think it's 6 and 2-3s. You have to accept some some things of the modern game, and that's one of them. When the ball goes into the box, you know everybody's tangling and tussling with each other. I don't think it was a foul personally, but absolutely no issue with Don giving it the other way, or giving it for the defence. You know, although the old adage is that you give advantage to the attacking team, you know fine, and Des and I have done it, when it's in the box like that, you give it as a foul for the defence. Nobody, unless it's like us who are forensically looking at things, nobody remembers a foul for the defence. They do remember a dodgy goal. So no, I think apart from showing his maturity, I have no issue with the way he gave it.
No, you just what he's going to do there is kill the game, get the ball 40, 50 yards back up in the middle of the pitch and allow play to continue. And I'll guarantee you it would have been the exact same decision if it was at the other end. The defending team would have got the benefit of it.
What about the Hadji one in the edge of the box where I think it's Bernardo and there's, to me, there looks like contact. I'm not, people will be saying, oh, he's looking at this through blue tinted glasses. I'm really not. But it's given again. I'm not sure where the dive is that I've heard. I think, I can't remember who's in commentary saying it's a dive. It's not a dive.
It's not that.
He doesn't, diving there, I think's very, I don't get it if he's diving there.
I think that one probably is a foul. But there's no such thing as perfection. So there's no way that the three of us are going to sit here and agree on every incident. And the people watching, of course, they're not. I probably think that that's a foul. But evened up when the ball broke away and it went up, was it Hatate was fouled and then nothing was against him as well. You know, these things even out. I don't have an issue. I'm not going to quibble with every foul that was or wasn't given. On that occasion, I don't agree with him, but I don't agree with the one against Hatate that he didn't give the same move.
Yeah.
Opinion, no issue.
Right. Before we get into the Raskin booking, there was a booking on Jeffy, but there was one before that as well where, again, we kind of spoke about it before we come on here. I think the Johnson and the Jeffy one are fairly similar. They're probably both bookings, but I'm like, Jeffy's one, probably because he catches him when there's a bit of blood, I think he has to book him there. Johnson, I think, is quite clever with his body movement, and to me, you probably book them both and move on. Like, I don't think there's people. I've heard people. I spoke to a couple of people today saying, "Oh, Jeffy should have been sent off." No, he shouldn't.
No, none of the two players should. What Johnson's done is he's jumped up for leverage, trying to protect himself. Unfortunately, he's had a collision with Hadji. I don't think, and I know likewise, other people would say, "Oh, it was a deliberate elbow in at the back of the head, etc." Johnson's he gets away with everything. He's a dirty player. I just think it was actually a genuine challenge, but a genuine challenge that merited a yellow card. I don't think anybody can deny that. And likewise with Jefty, he knows the players are there, of course he does, and they're jostling each other. They're on the touchline. He's turned round. His arms have got to be somewhere, and he's unfortunately made contact. But just because there's blood, and Steve being a doctor, just because of blood doesn't mean that it has to be a red card.
Yeah,
I think it was 2 yellow cards, and move on with it.
The Raskin one on McGregor now, I've watched this maybe 4 or 5 times in preparation for this because I wanted to come across as like understanding what had happened and seeing what you guys thought. If you watch that back, I think both of them kind of touch each other at the same time. They're having a bit of mouth at each other, right? Which I don't know if you agree on this, but I think that's been sorely missing in this fixture. I can't remember the last time I've seen 2 captains go at each other and kind of a wee bit of kind of mouth and things like that. I quite like that in this game. My problem with it is, though, is that I don't necessarily think either are booking. We've seen it with Cherney and Watt in the Motherwell game a few days before, where you're like, does that need to be a booking? Can they not just like, right, let's move on, it's just before half time? I think in that situation, you either book both or you book none. I don't think you can just book one player there because I think they're both at it. Now, I'm not, obviously, what I'm getting at here is if he books McGregor, it's a red card, and I think it's a very, very different show if McGregor gets sent off before half time, and I'm not advocating for that. But I don't think you can just book Raskin there if you're booking anybody. Where are you at?
Just as well you're not a ref, Sean. I think in that instance, Raskin deserved his yellow. I think McGregor showed his longer experience from Raskin. I've got absolutely no doubt whatsoever that McCallum was in about him. Probably verbally more than anything else. But Raskin bit. And see if it had just been handbags that we've talked about before, a wee bit of my dad's bigger than yours, nothing would have happened. But the fact that Raskin had a hold of him was just stupid. And I think the fact that it was at half time, so there was no other focus of attention, Don had to deal with it. And I think he did it. I think he did it absolutely right. Raskin deserved his yellow. McGregor, I absolutely no doubt there was something going on, but Raskin bit.
So here's my next question: if McGregor's not booked, does he book both?
Probably not. No.
I would say probably not.
No. I'll agree with you there. What I thought there is McGregor, and you're having a howler, Steve, calling him McCallum and calling Scott Sean earlier. It's usually mates, bad with names.
Sean.
What did I call him?
McCallum?
Sean? You called Scott Sean and you called McGregor McCallum. Jeez, man,
I was going to cut that out, but it's fine.
I'm getting worried about you now.
Too late now.
Aye. No, I think what was there is Raskin was clearly one of the most dangerous players in the park.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that was getting Rangers motivated. He was the one that was keeping them going, him along with Hadji and Cherney. And what he's been guilty of there is he's been sucked in by McGregor. McGregor's been really, really, really sleek it. And he's went, I'm just going to fling a hook out here and you're going to bite. And that's basically what he's done. So McGregor's been very astute there. And again, like you, I don't mind seeing the players a wee bit argy-bargy, showing a bit of passion. Yeah, and to be fair to Raskin, for a guy that couldn't get a game not too long ago to then go and be captain and put in a brilliant performance, I just think he's over exuberance, and McGregor having a lot more cunningness about him in that fixture in particular has just reeled him in, and that's why it was given.
Okay.
I'm relatively a boy compared to McGregor. So I doubt very much he'll do that again, but he gets sucked in on this occasion. He fell for it.
Into the second half, the only booking that's shown after the interval was the booking by Kuhn. Now, I purely think that was just down to, I think he was frustrated because of the form he's been in, and he just couldn't get a foothold in the game, and I think he's just been caught. I think that was purely it.
That was it.
Aye.
It's desperation.
Yeah. The only other incident I was going to cover with the Rangers Celtic game was obviously the incident with Arnie Engels with the coin. Now, obviously, we're in total agreement here, as everybody in the world is. It's that fan should be banned. That fan should never set foot inside a football stadium again. But I think Don Robertson, one thing I was quite impressed with was it was straight away. It was focusing on Engels, and it was just making sure the kind of situation didn't get any worse. And I thought he handled that pretty well.
Again, we just showed his maturity, didn't he? So his first and always the most paramount thought at that moment in time is the welfare and the safety of the player. So make sure he's good. Again, not flustered. Spoke with Ross McLeod to get the information on it. They've managed to gather the coin that was thrown, went across, dealt with that. As soon as that's done, his full attention is back on the game. So again, showing the maturity that we've been praising him for. Yeah,
and I think that's a perfect word. I think maturity. I just think he handled it pretty well. Now it was a game where, like, we all said after the game, as a football spectacle, I know obviously it was a pretty one-sided game, but it was a very enjoyable game of football. And I'm not just saying that because the result went my way. What I'm saying is that the game was very, very entertaining. And for once, we're not sitting on here talking about a decision. We're not talking about a certain thing. There was a few incidents that we've disagreed on, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good performance by the refereeing team.
Well, I think Don was. I think he had a great game, and him and his team should be very proud. But again, how many times have we said it now, Des? The players and the management of both teams should be pleased with themselves as well. One set more than the other, obviously, because in the old days that could blow up out of nothing. But they've all been disciplined. They've all been behaved within the laws of the game. And even with the Raskin McGregor thing, in days of old, that would have blown up. But they had the maturity, and their management team must take the praise for that it didn't get out of hand.
Yeah,
it settled down. They got on with it.
Yeah, well, 4 cautions in the game, and that's it.
And I think you'd said something earlier. I think the first foul was in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, 8 minutes 50, and it was for a Hadji on Johnson. So I mean, these things, it was a blood and thunder game at that moment in time as well.
Oh, it was the intensity was ridiculous.
Yeah,
in the early stages. Yeah, it was really, really good. Let's move on to the other games in the afternoon. We'll start at Aberdeen 1, Ross County 2. Aberdeen's struggles continue, a massive result for Ross County. Only really one thing in this game that I wanted to get your thoughts on. Duke was caution for a simulation. Des, I'll come at you first. You don't think it was a simulation?
I thought there was contact. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I thought there was enough contact, as slight as it may have been, just outside the edge of the penalty. There's not been a lot made of it. It's not, but from the angles that you've seen at the time, I thought that doesn't just look as clear cut as it is. Because Colin, giving someone a caution for simulations, you calling them a cheat. And Steve and I have got strong views on simulation where we think it's not a yellow card, we think it should be a red card, because you're obviously trying to fool the referee and fool the team, fool your opponents, and take advantage of you gaining that by you breaking it. So I'm happy to be proven wrong. I had a wee rush view at it today. I've been busy. I just thought that did look as if there was enough in it, but I'm happy to be proven wrong on it.
Steve, anything for you in that?
I think that it probably was simulation.
Okay.
Happy to disagree, but I think it was. But the first thing I wrote down in that game was the weather. I'd have called that.
Yeah.
No chance I'd have
It
played.
looked horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could be talking about a few call-offs this weekend. I think from what I've heard, every single game apart under League Two is going to get called off. So that kind of sums up what the weekend we're going to have. Moving on to Kilmarnock 2, St Mirren 0. Kilmarnock obviously given 2 penalties in the game, both conceded by Alex Gogic. Des, I'll come at you first on this. Both penalties, any disagreement with them?
Both penalties. The first one, he's made the error from his initial touch. He's been blocked down, and when he's went into the penalty area, it's just he's made contact through the back of the player and made no contact with the ball. So I think it was a really silly challenge for him to make, particularly when there's very little chance of you getting it. And the second one, again, he's just stepped right across the front of Kyle McGuinness. I know people were saying that they think McGuinness had maybe lost control of the ball and it was going out, but the ball was still within play. It was still within the penalty area, and Gogic has been guilty of the same offence, making contact with the player and not with the ball. So if you're doing that in the penalty area, there's only one outcome.
Do you think St Mirren should have had a penalty for the Olisanya one?
No.
Yep.
Two of them just pulling each one another.
Yep, absolutely.
I watched this game back this morning. I don't think I've seen anybody look so disheartened than Alex Gogic. He's becoming a bit of a cult figure on here, isn't he? He's involved a lot in stuff.
He plays like that, and do you know what? Wholehearted, wears his heart on his sleeve, whatever cliche you want to use for it. I really like him. But sometimes because that's how I used to play when I was playing, except I was rotten. Gogic is actually all right. But we moan about refs being inconsistent. Colin was bang on consistent on Thursday, and Gogic did the same tackle on both occasions. What was he expecting?
It was carbon copy, wasn't it?
What was he expecting?
Yeah.
I've underlined at the bottom here. Gogic doesn't learn, and I hope he doesn't. I love him.
That's the title of the show. Gogic doesn't learn. Let's move into St Johnstone Hibs. Red card in this game. Jason Holt, initially given as a yellow, it was overturned by VAR. I mean, first time I saw this tackle, I was like, "That's a shocker."
Yeah.
I'm amazed that's a yellow. He's given that a yellow.
Yeah, I agree. First time I seen it, you instantly. And you don't always look for the player's reaction, but you knew straight away that the player had taken a sore one.
Yeah.
I thought that Lloyd Wilson looked as if he had maybe not a bad view on it, so I was quite surprised that he rushed him by yellow. And then obviously he cautions Rocky Bashiri straight away as well, because he's coming in to say, I've seen that. And I'm really glad that the VAR, because that, as soon as a tackle like that goes in, it does have to get looked at. Mm-hmm. So I was really glad there was that intervention and to come across and do it. But how angry did Lloyd Wilson look when he was giving out the yellow cards? It looks like he was wanting to take on the world.
Why is that though? Is that because he knows he's going to have to change his mind?
No, because I don't think at that point he knew he was going to have to change his mind, because it was when he was giving out the yellow card, it just looked as if he was getting into a middleweight boxing match.
Yeah. Steve, would you
brought across?
Yeah, I agree. I think he looked. He certainly didn't look as though he was enjoying his afternoon. But absolutely, it was a leg breaker. So it was a red card. But in mitigation, we've all been there. Lloyd got one look at it. And he obviously didn't see the leg breaker, or he would have sent him off. And we've all done it. And that one viewing that you get, you make your mind up. But that, and obviously he got it wrong, but we've all done it. But that's what VAR's for. All the other nonsense, that's what VAR's there for. And he earned his corn, calling him back for that. So, well played. And take it, it's a team decision. It was a team outcome. So they got it right, and fair play to them. But Lloyd really needs to calm himself down a wee bit.
Just before half-time, St Johnstone were awarded a penalty. Rocky Bashiri, who, again, I think can either look like prime Baresi or can just look like he's a competition winner at times. I think he's that inconsistent. But this is a penalty here. He fills Jack Sanders in the box. Any issues?
None at all. We've had some discussions with people about whether Bashiri should have been sent off for a second yellow. I'm okay with the penalty being the sanction. I don't think it was the worst foul in the world. It was clearly a foul. It wasn't denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity or anything, so I'm all right with it just being a penalty.
Des, just you in agreement?
Yeah. I think the thing that sells it for the referee there is the fact that Bashiri wasn't even looking where the ball was; he had his back to play. So yeah, the foul, which is a penalty, that's consequence enough.
And obviously, Hibs thought they'd equalised just before they actually did. Obviously, the Martin Boyle had the ball in the net. Turns out Junior Hoyland had played it on and was offside. Again, one of those lines are drawn. You can't really argue.
No, that one's pretty clear. No issue.
What about the one in the Hearts Motherwell game? Hearts obviously another kind of big 3 points for them, but they had a goal that was actually overturned by VAR. It was a push in the goalkeeper. What was your thoughts, Des, on that?
I thought it was a legitimate goal the very first time I'd seen it. When you've seen the replay, when the goalkeeper's going up for it with his outstretched arms, you've got two Motherwell players around him, and the Hearts players actually behind them. So there's lots of jostling going on between them all. Very, very minimum contact. So no, I was delighted to see that Alan Muir, who was operating it, decided to see common sense and get Callum across to say, I think you might need to have a look at that. So I've got no issue with that goal whatsoever. None.
Steve, it is very minimal contact, isn't it? Like, is it enough to disallow it?
No. But again, things that have happened of late, I'm not surprised that he did disallow it. And no doubt he did it because obviously he was convinced of it. But again, good intervention from VAR, and I hope all the nonsense that was spoken about Alan Muir in the final is put to bed. That was an excellent call from Alan.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree with it. And at the Dundee derby, obviously the final game in Thursday. I keep saying Sunday because it felt like a Sunday. Dundee United obviously got the victory, but they had to come from behind to do so. There was a penalty given to Dundee just after an hour that was scored by Simon Murray. Wasn't given by the referee initially, but it was a handball by Kevin Holt. First time I saw it, I was like, I'm not sure, because I think when he heads it, his arm isn't really outstretched, but the more I've seen it, I think he probably should give it.
For me, when I first seen it, I thought it was a penalty because of the way the arm was outstretched. I know you're looking for balance, but not to that degree where it's there. And when you look back at the VAR, the touch on his head, I mean, was it conclusive that there was a clear touch from him? Because I know that's what he was claiming when he landed. So again, great intervention. I think it was Gavin Duncan who was in VAR. But we've said all along that hands have been in natural positions and players shouldn't be penalised from that, absolutely. But for that one, the arm wasn't in a natural position. And if he's trying to mitigate it by seeing it come off his head, I couldn't see it fully just to be completely conclusive.
You agree, Steve?
Totally. I've looked at it again and again and again, and not convinced that it came off his head. The ball didn't deviate; it seemed to go in a straight line. But more than happy if somebody can show otherwise. Perfectly happy to accept it. And if it did come off his head, then it shouldn't be a penalty. But from what we've seen, it was a penalty. And And I don't think you can have any argument. No, there's nothing in nature that would make you jump with your arm out like that. So I'm okay with the penalty.
Overall, from a game that could be clear that from a day that threatened to be quite contentious, I think it's been fairly calm. Overall, we've had big decisions, but we've covered them all.
Yeah. We had a bit of a howler the week before, but I think we made a comeback. Some people need to have a wee look at their style, but don't we all? But otherwise, I think most people could be perfectly happy with what they did.
Now, obviously, weather permitting, we do have some games this weekend, all 6 on Sunday. Now, I will just get them up just to see the appointments, because it's going to be a very, very busy weekend. This is like the last weekend where it's going to be a bit chaotic, because I'm not a big fan of this. Games Thursday, Sunday. I like the Saturday. I like watching sports scene on a Sunday morning, and then we do this show on the Sunday afternoon. So, my opinion, bring back the Saturdays. But we'll get to Thursday. We'll get to Sunday's games where. So into Celtic St Mirren, Grant Irvine on referee, Andrew Dallas on VAR. Dundee United versus Hearts, Matthew McDermott has the referee, Don Robertson in the VAR room. Kilmarnock Ross County, Stephen McLean referee, Greg Aitken on VAR. David Dickinson has the St Johnstone Dundee game and Alan Muir on VAR for that. Nick Walsh has Motherwell Aberdeen with Gavin Duncan in VAR. And Hibs versus Rangers, John Beaton referee, Kevin Clancy VAR. So,
very experienced teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No complaint there.
Yeah, happy with that. But calm weekend, and we'll be back again to do it this following weekend. So thanks very much as always, guys. Steve, thank you very much.
No problem. Absolute pleasure as usual.
And Des, thank you very much as always, mate.
No problem. So is it Stibble? Was it
My
Sean again?
my name's Scott, and to check out stuff that Scott does, Callum, to check out stuff that we do, follow us on SM Media, follow the Ref Duo on Twitter as well. Any contentious decisions, send them over. Hopefully the weather is kind to you this weekend. I don't think it will be, but we'll see you all on Tuesday morning. Thank you very much, folks. Take care.
If everybody.
Cheers.